Skywhale? Skywhale. Have I sold the game enough? Oh, fine. I'll do the rest of the video. It's Rel, and let's explore Throne and Liberty. NC Soft's 2024 free-to-play MMORPG. It starts off right with accessibility options. I think games should be for everyone, so seeing these options always makes me happy. I also appreciate being able to use my classic camera style without having to dive into the settings. We start out with a very pretty introduction cutscene. And are those grappling hooks? Do we get grappling hooks? And we get to transform into flying creatures for travel? Color me excited. That being said, this is clearly a cutscene and not gameplay, so we'll see if it holds up. Next, the cutscene brings us around a gorgeous world, even showing us some boss fights. I appreciate that even in the cutscene, the combat looks like it might actually reflect gameplay. The model movement feels grounded, and the ability effects could very well be the same as the ones used in-game. Well, except for this last bit. But it's cool, so we'll give it a pass. Now time to get into the game itself. Let's click enter and... Ooh, I like that continuous pullback shot. I pick a server and we get a quick introduction and what I assume our character will be. Starborn. Someone who possesses a fragment of the Goddess of Destruction. The King of Archaeum wants to use Starborn as weapons, and he sent a witch to attempt to take them. No, that's not your video freezing. That's the game crashing and requiring me to close it with Task Manager and restart. Not great before any gameplay. And then it takes 2 full minutes just to reload, which, while not overly long, is much longer than my comp usually takes to load up a game. We get another gorgeous cutscene. And while I do appreciate the cinematics, I'm 14 minutes into my recording and have done nothing but a couple of settings. Watched cutscenes and stared at loading screens. I'm not even at gameplay, just character creation. I start messing around with the character and realize motion blur is on. Still don't understand why games have it, but sure. Let's go into settings and turn it off. And the settings are great. Tons of options and easy to navigate. I instinctively click the button at the bottom of the settings, which starts the game with the character I got from clicking randomize a few times. And as much as I would have liked to play Pink Afro Lady, I also wanted to explore the character creator a bit. And while it messed me up a bit there, this is actually a design choice I really like. I have found it really beneficial in MMOs for the menus to not lock you out of interacting with the game. It lets you do all your menuing during downtime, like when you're mining or walking around. So I quit out, go back to explore the character creator. And I love how much detail it lets you go into. Really fantastic effort to let you look how you want. After finishing making my character, we come to with a dark knight called a Wraith Arbiter. I scramble around and find a sword. And finally gameplay time. Our first job is tutorial on auto-attacking. And I have to read while this guy is attacking, but notice my health when it hits me. Doesn't change. It gives me as much time as I need to read, while still starting you off with that initial urgency to jump into the fight. Movement and camera controls are the next tutorial, followed by blocking. Blocking is effectively a quick time event. Hit the button while the purple circle shrinks. I appreciate how it explains it in slow motion, then makes you practice it in real time. Then another Wraith Arbiter literally flies onto the screen. With a bit of camera flailing, I defeat him. Just had to match his random energy. Next, an enemy is placed out of reach of our melee attacks, making us learn how to swap weapons and use another attack type. But we aren't given much time to explore this yet. Zombies begin rising from the ground, and we are told to awaken the power of our star fragment. We morph into a wolf creature to run faster. I love the different take on a dash key. Our escape takes us right into the Wraith Wizard, and we quickly dispatch him with our newly learned combat prowess. But that prowess is quickly stomped back down as the witch, Calinthia, senses our star fragment and completely trounces us. Luckily, an old mage is there to protect us, but our daze from Calinthia's power lets her attack us once more. As the old man throws himself in front of the attack and tells us to flee, Calinthia stands over us with a massive armored knight behind her. We snap to and find ourselves in a cellar sleeping at a desk. Turns out that was a nightmare, where we put our current self as the reason the elder died. Benny, the chillest guy ever, tells us to go get some fresh air and find Lottie. We make a quick stop to pick up a map, unlocking the map. Nice way to have the map be in-universe. Then we head outside. Skywhale, the best kind of mystical set piece. Gigantrite. We meet up with Lottie, who brings us to the training grounds. As we go through the village, some of the NPCs will have passive chatter, and many can be spoken to for an additional line of dialogue or two. While most stay in the same location, some even walk around the town. An effort has definitely been made to increase immersion. Some of it does feel a bit forced, but it's a reasonable balance of development time and creating a living world. Remember how we could switch weapons earlier? Well, now we get the full tutorial, and it's one of my favorite game design choices. There are 8 weapon types, and we can have any 2 equipped at a time. Each weapon has a set of skills unlocked by level up. It seems like we can switch weapons at any time, though you will have to spend resources to level up the skills for the new weapon you switch in. Switching between weapons is seamless, and all the initial abilities feel really good. Now I'm going to decide what I want to try out. Maybe a nice balance between ranged and melee combat, making me ready for anything. Nah, just double magic. Honestly, heal and debuff combined with powerful magic damage sounded great for a solo player. Love how this gate is opened. Another cool world building idea. This dwarf morphs into a giant stone golem to lift up the massive gate. Though I do wonder what happens when he has a sick day. Can everyone learn to change into a giant golem? Can I get that ability? I hope so. We run along the path and explosions start raining down, destroying a tower. And honestly, that was a really smooth animation. A conveniently placed hook lets Lottie teach us about the grappling mechanics. The animation is sweet, but while understandable, it's a little disappointing that we are limited to specific points the developers put into the game. There are monsters up ahead, and I appreciate that resistant soldiers are fighting with us. And while the game makes us do the damage, the soldiers do a great job at taking and holding aggro. As we continue, we find out the lift to get over the mountain is broken. Lottie tells us to care for the wounded while she finds another way up. Great, I'm a priest. I picked healing magic? But no. Just a contextual button press and a generic animation that doesn't even seem to change the wounded soldier's model at all. I appreciate that quests aren't just kill X enemies Y times. Just this one didn't feel like we had any impact on it. Just let me make use of my healing magic. Or if I didn't pick healing, have me use a potion or some other healing item. Let me feel like my abilities, items, and choices matter. Moving on. A small blue spectral creature yells. Not so much of a whispering Aminetto to follow it. And the glowing purple quest marker is that way, so we do. Another contextual button press, and we get another cutscene, where our starborn power activates, dragging us up the tree, revealing the spectral creature to be a plushie with cartoon facial expressions. A little out of place with the world we've seen so far, but it's cute, so we'll accept it. They say we are the ones they have been waiting for, and teach us how to fly. Okay, more accurately, morph into a creature that can glide. The tower seems to be under attack by an upside-down cloud volcano? Absolutely awesome visuals for gliding here. We meet up with the local guard and set out to rescue the civilians. Our new ally, Clay, blasts away part of the wall, showing us a hook. It's not that I dislike the grappling system, it just feels very scripted so far. Clay saves us from a rain of fire, and we continue to fight our way through. While I'm not in danger because I have allies, when enemies do start to attack me, I really appreciate that damage numbers are actually relevant. As we charge forward, an enormous armored figure warps into existence, and we get an engaging boss fight. Multiple different attacks, allies going down, relevant health and damage numbers. As his health starts getting low, he lets out an enraged roar, stunning us, then knocking us down with an in-game attack before switching to a cutscene. Honestly, this feels like the correct way to do a scripted loss. No undamageable health bars, no beating the boss only for the cutscene to show you losing, in-game mechanics showing the boss beating you. In the cutscene, Clay tries to restrain the boss with lightning, pointing out its weak point. Our body is forcibly taken over by our star fragment, and we hurl a hand axe right into his eye. So, I suppose not a scripted loss? More scripted win? Still liked how the game handled us getting knocked unconscious beforehand. Later, we awaken and talk with Clay. He knows the damage our star fragment going haywire like that can cause, and tells us to go find an ally of his who can help us keep it under control. We say goodbye to our friends and prepare to cliff dive. With a little boost from Clay's companion, I leap off the cliff, and as we fly across the ocean, Skywhale! It emerges from the water, so I guess sky and regular whale, and we fly beside it for a moment. Our cartoon plushie finally properly introduces themselves as Helpy. Pretty on the nose. We get a cinematic cutscene of the world we will be exploring. Honestly, a nice teaser for things to come, ending with an awesome transition as we finish our flight and land on the docks. Now that we're out of tutorial, here is where the MMO part starts. We get an absolute barrage of information. Between chat, an avalanche of pop-ups and achievements, and a pile of red new notifications on different menus, it's a bit overwhelming. We've got daily login rewards, new shop deals, which, funnily enough, is taking a while to become available, quest rewards to collect, and new menus to explore. Luckily, I've played my fair share of MMOs, and can sort through it without too much issue. Much of it is just pretty lights and rewards to get the new player dopamine rush, with some additional FOMO to keep people logging in every day. I do really like some of the new menus, especially the codex. Love a game with tons of lore. But let's get back to the main quest. We have to talk with the storage manager, though we aren't forced to actually use the services. If you ever need to do anything in this town, just get one of Clay's tokens. People seem to trust someone with one of them very easily. The storage guy sends us to the priestess, who tells us that Martinet is in hiding, and we'll need a passphrase to speak with her. The next person is the sundries merchant, but on the way I decide to chat with a generic resident, who actually has dialogue. Nice. The merchant tells us the first part of the passphrase, and that the Arkham Legion has been looking for her. Next up, the skills trainer. We do some totally unnecessary roof parkour, which honestly slowed us down, but it was fun, so who cares? The skills trainer gives us the second half of the passphrase and the door to use it at. As I'm easily distracted, I notice a purple glow on a low side roof, and take a minute to figure out how to jump up to find it. These are littered all around the world, and they give small snippets into people's lives. I absolutely love the additional world building behind them. When we find the door, we actually have to make a choice, and remember the correct passphrase to open it. Though I bet if we got it wrong, it wouldn't be that hard to try again. Martinet has been researching how to calm Mana down to help her sister, but has run out of ingredients, so we've got some things to track down. This game has traditions nailed down. I mean, look at this really good one between the instance Martinet is in and the open world. She sends us to learn about waypoints, but the game gives us a prompt to allocate our stat points first. I adore that every stat increases damage, gives more player freedom in builds, by making the pressure to max DPS lower. I decide that more mana equals more spells equals decent for a double mage. Back to waypoints. Typical teleport points that can be returned to from most places in the world. They have a twist that I really like. When you unlock them, you get a cinematic voiced short about the lore of the location. Our next target is further away, so more wolf morphin time. As I'm running, I pick off a few enemies and level up, and I realize I can level up a few of my skills. At this point, leveling up skills costs skill growth books, and reasonably increases the numbers. Spending skill books has you hold click, and you get a nice little animation as the level up bar fills. Once you get tired of the animation, you can toggle the animation off. When we enter the fields, we get an exploration quest. This is one of the area quests, and as the name suggests, it will give you a sample of what can be done in the area. For this one, it's burn a hay bale, collect a codex page, and destroy a malfunctioning harvester. I'll work on them as I continue the main quest. The alchemist is out, but his apprentice tells us where to find the ingredients. We kill some enemies that drop them, and look on the roof, a journal piece. So we climb up and learn some more lore. I love how exploration is rewarded with brief bits of lore, even if on the roof of a house doesn't make too much sense for a journal to be. We find a villager who has a blue symbol above their head, indicating a side quest. We start it and have to pick up a bucket of rainwater. Sounds random, but it turns out the rains are what has been messing with this place. And the lady who gives the quest has been researching them, and through this quest, we help her prove her hypothesis. As we try to collect a reward for the quest, it won't let me choose one. Clicking it just makes a link appear in chat. Odd, but sure, we'll figure it out. After gathering all the ingredients, we head down to the alchemist. And I can't get over how much I like the cinematic cutscenes we get when unlocking these waypoints. Really gets you into the area. The chemist makes us rancid powder from the things we gathered, then sends us back to Martinet, who happens to be almost 700 meters away. So I try to take the waypoint, but it doesn't work. Feels like the issue from earlier where we weren't able to accept a quest reward. Editing well, this is actually a reoccurring issue throughout my game. It is almost like one of my modifier keys is stuck down, but I tested them outside of the game and everything works fine. The only way I found to fix it was restarting the game. After a quick restart, put a pin in that, saving it for later, I teleport back and go see Martinet. After the potion works for us, she shares that the Arkham leader, Zorath, is after her sister, who also has a star fragment. We go to deliver the potion to Martinet's sister, but turns out she had to go into hiding. After accepting a bunch of side quests, we head up to the lighthouse. I love when set pieces are actually reachable landmarks. really adds to the depth of the world. We find a group of Archaean Legion that are frustrated that they were too late to catch Adriana, but us appearing was perfect for them. Another person with a star fragment. But, unfortunately for them, our boy Helpy ain't having any of that. Breaking the attempted capture, and after an awkward standoff for a second, they realize they don't know who they're dealing with. The Double Mage. After dispatching him, we investigate the tower and are introduced to another minigame, which has us rotating and hold clicking to look for clues on an item. But it specifically tells you what part to look on. I'm hoping this is just the tutorial, because it kind of takes away from the discovery. We use our power to view the past. The Archaean Legion used Martinet as a hostage to force her sister to call down the rains, but they corrupted the ritual, devastating the land. Adriana's star fragment went haywire, morphing her body and slaughtering the evildoers. I decide to finish the side quests on the beach before going back to the main quest. I really like the contaminated measuring device quest, where we have to bring a test sample to a raft in the water in a short amount of time without getting it wet. So we have to jump and glide from the lighthouse, grab the sample, leap off the cliff, and mess up my morph turning into a wolf, which still takes fall damage. Well, I guess we get to learn how death works. It looks like we revive at the nearest town with very little penalty. Sure, that works. I refuse to be bested by such a quest. So I run back and leap off the cliff again, only to mess it up again. Then catch myself. Once I complete the rest of the quest, I teleport back to town, and as I'm running to report to Martinet, I see a young girl asking for anyone to help her. So I go over and talk with her. Well, try and talk with her. The game won't let me. I can interact with other townspeople. Wait, 0 out of 10. Can't pet the dog. Review over, done. Okay, back on track. We head to Martinet's house, but she has already left, though she wrote a letter to us. So my next quest? Go talk to the young girl in need of help. Who told me to do it? The quest log. This really hit my level of immersion hard. I had tried to organically help her, but the game wouldn't let me. Now the game, not an in-world reason, is telling me to help her. And after talking with her, there is no reason I couldn't have helped her before the conversation. I understand the games have limitations, but the lack of explanation other than, it's a game, felt really awkward. They could have at least not had the girl asking for help until after I had read Martinet's letter. That aside, I actually quite liked her quest, so let's go through it. Back in her younger days, I mean, she still looks pretty young, and is described as young girl, she was saved by someone named Henry from a dreadful wolf monster called Eastscale. She wants to honor Henry's sacrifice by placing a keepsake from the wolf hunting competition, which was made in his honor. She actually wants 2 of them, though she doesn't disclose why yet. We get another quick tutorial, transferring weapon levels. You can upgrade your weapon, but unlike many games, those upgrades aren't fully lost when you find a higher tier weapon. You can transfer the item XP over. I like systems like this because they encourage players to actually use their resources rather than hoard them. We decide to enter the wolf hunting competition to get the keepsakes, but their bait hasn't been working, so we have to go hunt something down first. A character in the game world says we should have at least uncommon level armor. This is something the game has done a couple times that I'm not a huge fan of. Characters calling out game systems. I understand that the game systems need to be explained, but having a character in the world talk about it doesn't feel right. They don't know it's a game system. I would much prefer this dialogue to read as better armor than the menu to tell me it's uncommon. Prevent fourth wall breaking. Next, time for a generic crafting tutorial. We are given the materials required to craft some new armor, though it doesn't explain where we're supposed to get the materials naturally very well. We at least get to pick what we want to craft, and the system is pretty clear. We head back to the beaches to collect the bait, and while doing so, we come across a letter in a bottle telling us about a man stranded on an island. I decide to go explore the surrounding islands, eventually finding the skeleton of the unfortunate sailor. On him is a note to someone back in town. Then a ship comes by for some reason. I honestly don't know if this was scripted or just really awesome timing. I hop aboard and take the ship back to town, except it's a different town, one that I won't have anything meaningful to do in for a while. I unlock the waypoint, but why did the ship take me here? The local quests aren't even unlocked. It almost feels like a sequence break in a linear game. Very strange. I return to the first town and complete the crafting quest by showing the armor vendor the item that I made. Then she teaches me about upgrading armor, which is a very similar method to upgrading weapons and skills. And finally, back to the wolf hunting keepsake quest. We go visit Henry's grave, which, despite being described as the grave of someone famous, is the smallest and least ornate in the graveyard, though it is the best maintained. I still love leaping off mountains and gliding down. Really great way to get a lay of the land. As we arrive at the wolf hunting camp, one of the side missions is to transform into a sheep and try to run past all the wolves. While running, I see another quest icon at a small house. We listen at the window. The window? What's a window? We listen at the window and hear someone dying. Apparently his condition is due to a purple gem that he was trusted with. Then he stole from Chris. How does he know that we know who Chris is? He wants to return it, but is scared Chris won't forgive him. We head back, and Chris doesn't hold a grudge at all, and tells us to bring back the gem. Well, on the way back, I aggro a bunch of wolves, then attempt to set a trap with a quest marker on it. It turns out, the enemies are actually threatening, and I have to run from this one. I love that they are threatening, and they can't just be ignored. We save a hunter who is getting attacked by wolves, and he actually responds and runs off to safety. Or just a little bit, then fades away. Immediately after, I try to fight some wolves near a guard, and he actually helps. While they're the most immersive, having friendly NPCs respond to your actions helps a good amount with that immersion. Now that I've healed, I go back to the trap and properly set up the fight in my favor. And while still somewhat threatening, I'm able to beat the group of wolves. MMO fight balance is tough, and I must say I'm impressed that it is pretty decent so far. Now, I'm sure that if I was an experienced player, leveling the gear and skills properly with a good skill rotations, I would stomp it. But having a reasonable fight for a new player without having to get too much into optimization is the perfect place for this early in the game. Man, we've been sidetracked. Back to the house and the dying man. I may have left him too long. An Arkham soldier is casually waiting next to his dead body, and after allowing me to casually walk up to Neil's corpse, the soldier attacks, and we promptly beat him. As much as I would love it if it was our delay that actually had an impact, this seems like the quest would have had Neil killed even if we had rushed back. We collect the star fragment and get another vision of Khazar claiming that every last piece shall be mine. We bring the star fragment back to Chris, and that's the whole quest. So the quest about this fragment of an incredibly important part of the world is triggered just because we happen to hear someone moaning in a house, then resolved by killing a single Arkham soldier. Something about that just doesn't feel right. It feels even more contrived than typical quests, especially with the seriousness of the subject and how the stakes don't really match the amount of content. These fragments are supposed to be super important. Alright, let's get back on more sheep time! Sprinting past tons of wolves, we find additional shrines to continue our woolly pilgrimage. After our pilgrimage, we finally get back to gathering the materials for the wolf keepsakes. And upon picking up the radiant antlers, we get a vision of a giant wolf standing atop a spectral deer. I've been finding documents and hearing people speak about these two creatures, so I really love getting to see them. We bring the materials back to the craftsman who used to make the keepsakes, but he is drunk and it's been a long time since he used to make them, so we can't even remember how to do so. Alright, time to go on a quest to help him get those legendary skills back. Or our character could convince him with no meaningful player input? Why is that part even in the conversation? There it is. To have a slightly, and I mean slightly, less contrived way to send us to the skills researcher. And, I mean, I've been using skill books for quite a while now. I didn't really need a tutorial on them, but okay. Alright, we bring the keepsakes back to Siordi, and she's excited and plans to put one on Henry's grave. So why 2 keepsakes? There was a second person who saved her, but they vanished without saying a word. She asks, "Do you think I'll meet that hero someday?" Upon her recommendation, we go back to Henry's grave, and this time, the spirit deer appears before us. The screen fades white, and as we come to, the day has changed to night, and a boy is fighting off 3 wolves. We rush to help him and take down the wolves together. I want to lay out the conversation we have with him. Escale is leading a wolf attack on the village. What happened to the others at the Abbey? Our character isn't from around here. How do we get here? The wolves will be here soon. If you head downhill, you'll find the village and be safe there. I have to look for the others. We Must rescue them quickly. Then I offer my strength, and he accepts. Surprised. Okay, we could write this off as a panicked young boy. But, man, that dialogue. E-Scale is attacking the village. So go to the village and you'll be safe? We must rescue them? Then why are you surprised I'll help you? Are you royalty? Okay, less nitpicking. We save some children and learn this boy's name is Henry. Now, where have we heard that before? A little more nitpicking. Promise I actually like this quest. I'll lead the way. Please check on the children to make sure they are keeping up. Bye, kids! I mean, at least he asked for us to go slower. Just felt odd for him to breakneck sprint away from the kids. Another group is stuck in a house, so I run around the house and try to find another exit. No luck. Well, at least until Helpy called me over to the wall I was just looking at. Game, can I please have some agency? The girl we save is named Shiori? Wait. No time to think. More wolves attacking. Helpy takes us aside and points out the obvious. We are in the past, but recommends we try and save Henry. I'm actually super interested to see where this goes. Once it seems we are safe, Henry stops and asks us to bring the children the rest of the way back. Why? Because the spirit deer gave him a dream that he would defeat Iskell alone, and now it's his duty. A howl rings out through the night, and the slain wolves begin to rise again. Henry sprints towards the abbey, taunting the wolves. As we blast through the remaining ones here, getting the kids back to the village. We look back to the abbey, and a flash covers our vision, and we are back in present time, with a spirit deer telling us that it is time to choose our own path. So our next quest is to inspect a pot at the abbey. Why? I guess follow the purple icons. We find another time circle and view the past. Henry's final stand against E-Scale is him luring all the wolves near the abbey, then setting the oil pots ablaze, engulfing not only the wolves, but also himself in the explosion. Kinda epic sacrifice. So why was this my favorite quest? It shows that the spirit deer isn't some all-powerful god. Not only did he lose to E-Scale, but his best plan was to have some kid sacrifice himself. That's pretty messed up. Having the, air quotes, good guy god not be the solely virtuous type and not all-powerful really adds to the world and makes the issues here way more believable. Also, it uses my favorite depiction of time travel. It already happened. No Helpy, we can't save Henry because he already died. And man, that scene with Shiori, hoping to meet the other person who saved her, while literally talking with the other person who saved her, is kinda cute. To finish off that powerhouse of a scene, we leap off the cliff and glide. Still love doing that. Down to the town. We look out into the fog and rain towards Wisp Island. We get a really sweet scene with Helpy here too. Really nice end to the arc. Alright, I'm back the next day. And look at all the crossbows. Just a fun little graphical glitch I found. Looks like a crossbow is used as a placeholder while items' actual icons load in. I do a quest about a haunted room in the inn. I discover that a group of guests was killed by an Arkham Legion soldier. So what is the natural course of action? That's right, blackmail the owner for a free room. I'm exaggerating a bit, but the owner knows about the ghosts and has been trying to convince everyone it's just a rumor to maintain her business. To keep the secret, she offers us the room for free. Then we push and ask for a ghost-free room instead. While I might not love the quest to get it, I do enjoy when games give you a player-owned space. They always feel safe and homey, particularly if you can build them up. So far, this one has a journal to view past adventures, and a new friend, Grover. I'm guessing the more we explore, the more we'll be in this room. And my ability to click waypoints is broken again. Alright, we'll do some local quests instead. We find magic circles on the beach, and hear stories of strange cats in town. We decide to set up an ambush, lay some fish, and stand kinda next to these waist-high crates. I would have at least appreciated a crouching animation. The cat doesn't take the bait, but a convenient wizard discards a rat morph potion. Just a little bit convenient. We get a quick stealth mission, follow the cats without being seen. Turns out, it's time for blasting more KM soldiers. I do like when games have quest objectives that aren't just combat, or click interact at a certain point. And while the stealth wasn't the most fleshed out system, appreciate the inclusion. Next up, a perfectly fine crafting and enchantment tutorial, though I would prefer it if they also included a section on how to gather materials, instead of just giving them to you. What's our next serious quest gonna be? Meeting a pro-adventurer penguin. He teaches us about expeditions. we can send out our little friends to gather resources for us. This is actually a pretty cute little side activity, and I love the atmosphere of the house you send the expeditions from. Ooh, another puppy. Wait, we can pet this dog? 10 out of 10. Review done. We're good. Oh, look at him on his little back with his little paws up. Another one. Let's play with him too. After returning from the expedition house, the statue in the center of town is engulfed in a beautiful tree, and tons of players are around. This was actually another real-life day for me, and it seems like a seasonal event of some kind. Didn't really explore it, but it shows the game is at least getting some continued attention from the devs. Also, for those who play the game regularly, yes, this video took forever to make. Our next major quest takes us to the Starlight Observatory ruins. There's a time circle we use to learn about the past of the outpost. The Archaean Legion tricked defenders, luring most of them away, but the 4 who remained still had fight in them. Watch Captain Henson tried to create an opening for his 3 comrades to flee. One of them, Ruffalo, made it out. The other 2 were not so lucky. However, Henson was relentless, rising again and again. Eventually, to his surprise, Ruffalo returned with reinforcements and drove the Legion back. Then Henson decided it was his fault the 2 soldiers died, and resigned as captain. I understand it always sucks losing people, but you lost 2 soldiers against a legion of enemies. At least he didn't leave the resistance, just his position of leadership. I really appreciate the time circles and the scenes behind them. They help show the story rather than just tell it. We meet another little helper who is asking for us to find a wizard in the forest to help find a lost child. So I find the direction and jump off the cliff, fail my glide morph again, and break my ankles. Alright, pull it together, go for another glide. But apparently I forgot how to and break my ankles again. We run through a very pretty red forest evading spiders. We do some investigating with the wizard, mostly generic go-to-object interact quests. While doing so, I did come across this goblin, whose ancestral gravesite was flooded and wants us to use the drainage device fast enough to unflood it. Cute little side quest. I like it. After helping Rutene, he sends us to the nesting ground to find a friend of his, Robert. More investigating shows the Archaean Legion might be involved with the missing child. And another interesting side quest is from the wandering chef. He wants an egg from the elevated terror bird nest, but there's nothing near it, so we have to glide from the top of the Starlight Observatory. At least once the teleport loading issues have resolved. And man, this is a popular quest. There are multiple other players hanging out up here. I wonder what could possibly make them come up here. I try the quest and properly learn how to use the glide feature, but each time I see more people at the top of the tower. Oh man, this attempt was really close. Wait. Is the Skywell coming towards us? Can we fly to the Skywell from here? Yes, we can. This is exactly what I want from a game. The mystical feeling is off the charts. We can gather some resources up here, but I have no idea what to use them for. But who cares? They're from the Skywell. I hang out on the Skywell for a while, and man, just look at all of us together, just watching the beautiful landscapes. If you do end up flying on a Skywell, be careful. They're notorious for being occasionally ethereal, allowing you to fall through them, leaving you stranded above the middle of the ocean, desperately trying to glide toward land. Man, what an experience the Skywell was. One of the most magical experiences an MMO has given me in recent history. Having learned a bit more about gliding, I returned to the tower and one-shot acquiring the terror bird egg for the chef. I did take a break here, but next time I decided I wanted more Skywell. So I waited for it to return to the world and rushed to the tower. And man, look at them twirling in the sky. So majestic. Even better was watching our flock take flight. This time, instead of spamming resources, I decided to just look at the majestic views. And wow, this game world is gorgeous. Skywell friend? There's a rock pillar ahead of us. You need to turn. Wait, not turn down? Sploosh. Alright, let's get back to the main quest. We visit Sophia in Vienta village, who figures out where the missing child must be. But she gets worried when she hears Robert went ahead alone. So we rush to make sure he is safe, while Sophia gets some reinforcements. I take down some Archaean soldiers and find another magic circle that teleports us to the enemy's lair. Due to some more loading issues, I end up running past the additional enemies I'm supposed to kill, and Robert, who I'm supposed to help. but a quick run back remedies it, and we punch through more enemies, rushing to find the missing children. A ton of soldiers are blocking the way, when a green circle appears on the ground and resistant soldiers start flooding out, including our friends Sophia and Rutene. The fight takes a minute, but we survive, and Sophia yells at Robert for rushing in recklessly. Our new leader, Da Vinci, takes charge and tells us to charge until the game breaks again, because I charged too hard. It just forgot to open this gate for some reason. My guess is I killed the initial soldiers too early for the voice line, which was needed to trigger for the gate to open. But who knows. A quick reload, run through the dungeon, relive the epic moments of reinforcements popping up. Here's what it's supposed to look like. And man, this fight is actually kind of interesting. Particularly since my AoE spells are aggroing multiple enemies at a time. At the end, I actually had to let my friends cover for me while I healed up. Very nice. We unlock the cages the Legion was using to hold the children, and Da Vinci tells us to follow him to the enemy leader. And after beating him, Da Vinci gives us a pin, officially having us join the resistance. We return to town and talk with Sophia. We learn about our friends and new comrades, known as the terrific trio of the resistance. As kids, they were rescued by Da Vinci, being kidnapped by spiders, and their... what is that thing? Next, we've got a side adventure teaching us about dungeons, following souls through the woods, defeating a mini-boss, and following its soul down into a ruined temple, finding it filled with powerful enemies. A nice way to introduce you to the area rather than just teleporting you there. And back to the main quest. It is triggered by talking with a woman who we have never met, who is just complaining to an empty street. Turns out her husband was taken for some medical reason, but she can't get anyone to answer questions about it. Our next clue goes to a camp just outside the city, and it's empty. So I run around trying to get something to trigger. Turns out it was just more loading issues. Sophia is wearing a plague mask, just takes it off without moving away from the area, and asks us to burn the infected articles without any PPE. Girl, that is the most lax infectious disease precautions I've seen. She sends us to check in with Dr. Leonardus, who is excited to hear about how much pain we're in, and is frustrated when we say we are here to help. After a bit of pressing, he asks us to check on the patients, particularly if they are hearing anything. They talk about hearing things specifically after the green medicine. When we report back to Leonardus, "Oh really? It's finally begun." And when we ask about the green medicine, he yells at us to get out. So we draw our weapons and deal with this poison. Wait, no. We are the most a traditionally dense RPG hero, and just leave this guy who is clearly poisoning his innocent patients. We talk to Sophia, who tells us he is a dedicated physician, but she trusts our judgment and we should search his clinic in the evening to confirm our theory. Girl, this guy had so many red flags, I don't feel like we need any more evidence. That being said, we do get one of the best time transitions. I mean, seriously, look how smooth this transitioning from an overworld daytime to an instance nighttime was. Really impressive. Leonardus' assistant is zombified, and his journal shows he clearly made a fake plague. Whoever could have guessed? There's going to be a blood ritual tonight that we could have prevented had we taken this monster out during the day. When we saw he was clearly evil, we returned to report our findings, but Sophia has already left to follow him. We follow the wagon tracks from the clinic and find a warehouse. And Sophia rushed in without backup. I've got someone she should take some advice from. I mean, someone just told Robert not to rush in the last quest. When we arrive, the vampire turns to mist and runs away. We clear out his thralls and help Sophia. What a wonderful camera angle for this scene. We get a clue who the vampire was. Leonardus' glasses. If only we could have known who it was before. Rutene shows up to take care of Sophia and sends us to get a Guardian's Pledge, an artifact that will help us defeat the vampire. To get it, we go to Stonegard Castle and talk with Jacques Hander, who is frustrated Sophia won't join his team. Even so, he is willing to let us use the Guardian's Pledge if we accept the risks. To use it correctly, we need to find the pledge loops at the Temple of Sileif, at the Temple of the God of Destruction. Once we wear it, we begin hearing voices and seeing someone's ghost. We are teleported to a temple and explore the story of a vampire hunter. I particularly liked the jumping puzzle to find this pledge loop. Turns out our vampire friend, Leonardus, killed this vampire hunter's lover? We go to pick up his weapon, and Leonardus appears, decked out in some comically over-the-top armor. The pledge starts reacting to us, and a flash of light. Turns out, we are not to be outdone. Our armor is even more comically overdone. I begin bombarding Leonardus, but he goes into a mist form and continues attacking. We gather the pledge loops to return him to attackable, and we dispatch the monster in a haze of red. We pick up the helm and use the time circle to view the past. Not his lover, mentor, and gasp! The vampire hunter was actually a half-vampire himself. After Leonardus killed his mentor, he vowed to destroy him, and after years of training, he became a legendary vampire slayer. He confronted the vampire and failed, but using his last bit of strength, he placed his power in the Guardian's Pledge, which we can now invoke. We teleport back, check on Sophia. And man, this town is not looking so good. Loading issues never stop. That's the last major quest line I did before starting writing. So let's sum up my experience with the game. Let's go through the rougher side first, then finish with some positives. First and foremost, loading times and loading issues. My machine is getting up there in years, but it has never struggled this much with loading a game. Every startup took almost 4 minutes just to be semi-functional. Even after I could move, the necessary characters would load in literally minutes after I arrived. Well, aiding worked alright, it always made it hard to be immersed in the world. Numero dos. RPG quest syndrome. While not all its quests will kill X enemies, none of the alternate mechanics felt fleshed out. I didn't ever feel clever or smart figuring out the mysteries or mechanics. I did like the 2 gliding challenges that I encountered. Many of the quests relied on extreme coincidence. And I don't mind quests having it, but relying on it for a serious main quest, which you automatically have directions for put on the side of your screen, felt odd. Particularly when a completely unrelated event changes your interaction options. The questing almost felt unplanned, like a train of thought method of writing. Okay, post-scripting, mostly. Well, apparently the shop is pretty rough. Lots of pay to win. I basically did not interact with it for the entire time I played, and never felt properly outclassed by my enemies. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the endgame was pay to win. That's not uncommon in MMOs. I felt I got plenty of enjoyment out of my time without any monetary input. If you have played it to endgame, is it / how bad is the pay to win? Now onto the good stuff. I really loved the lore tidbits scattered around the world. From the awesome area summaries we get from unlocking the waypoints, to the really cool bits of lore we can hunt down. Really great world building that let you choose your level of engagement. I also appreciate that the game really spreads its tutorials out, not overloading all the systems into a short span. I feel like I can still remember every system they gave me, though I would have liked the crafting ones to explain how to get the items naturally better. The combat balance. From my experience, it's pretty rare for early game MMO combat to feel challenging, unless they're trying to force you to potion chug. But man, did the combat feel good in this one. Abilities felt like they had impact. I never felt like I couldn't win a fight, but I had to be careful about taking on too many enemies. And for more difficult ones, I had to pay attention to my rotations. The sense of scale was fantastic, though it wasn't primarily from the quests. In the overworld, there were so many points that just felt grand. Jumping off cliffs and gliding down was amazing. Staring out at the ocean with Helpy as we said our goodbyes. The zoom cuts when unlocking a waypoint. And of course, the Skywell, which I will say again, one of the most majestic multiplayer moments I've experienced in recent history. Seeing the group of people standing there, knowing something was up, and all taking flight together was incredible. So did I enjoy my time with this game? Absolutely. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night.